My name is Michelle Bruce. I'm a Niagara photographer, and these are my Niagara roots. Anything where I can come up with a concept, I can kind of just let it go. I don't have to follow any rules other than the lighting itself. That's more what I'm into. I like to create. I'm all about the experience, so when I have a client come in, from the minute that you contact me to the minute I deliver your images, I'm all about you feeling like you're number one. I want you to feel like I'm going out of my way. So I mean, I'll literally courier something so that you get it the same day, even if it feels like it's gonna technically cost me, I don't really care. So that's kind of the thing with people, that you really have to really go above and beyond to sort of separate yourself from your competitors.
So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our guest for today, Michelle Bruce. Michelle, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be here.
Yeah, no problem.
So guess we'll dive right into it. So you're a recent grad of Niagara College.
Yes.
So can you tell me when you knew you wanted to be a photographer?
I don't think I ever 100% knew I wanted to be a photographer. It wasn't something that I ever thought was an option. It's not something that I considered. When I got into the program, I was surrounded by these 19-year-olds who had been doing photography for the past 4 years in high school. When I was in high school, I'm sure they had classes like that. It was just not something that I ever really even thought was for me. I didn't think I was a creative person. I ended up having a daughter 10 years after we had my son. And I don't know, I started taking photos while I was pregnant, super cheesy photos that I would never in a million years do. And just, I don't know, I thought I could maybe do this for a living, but I couldn't imagine getting paid to do something that I wasn't properly trained in. I applied for the program. I didn't actually think I was gonna get in. And then I got in and ended up graduating with honors.
So do you think high schools should do a better job at promoting programs like photography?
I think they do a better job now. I think that, like, because my son's in grade 9 now, and I think it's more important that you have parents that are a little bit more open to the arts and recognizing it as a legit profession, a legit area where your kids could really thrive, they could really express themselves. But I think you have to start that at home. I don't think it can really just be the school. The programs at school, I know, I mean, they always need more equipment. I think it would be cool to sort of bring in more professionals from the community, more career day type things, maybe putting the options more at the forefront so that kids, when they're just kind of deciding what they want to be, they can kind of figure it out. And I mean, I don't know, celebrate the creativity, telling people that they're creative. It's something they didn't really do when I was that age.
Okay, yeah, so definitely
I sound like I'm 100.
definitely getting more progressive. But so I was on your website and I read in your bio, it says, it's all about the light, the emotion, and working with my subjects and clients. Can you explain like what that?
Well, photography in itself is light. I mean, it's about the placement of light. It's about the control of light. It's about how can you change that light to set a mood, set a tone, get an emotion. But you do need, as a photographer, to be able to give direction. You do need to be able to have a vision, and you need to be able to tie that vision in with your creative process when you're dealing with your client. You have to love people. Like, if you're going to be a portrait photographer, you really have to love people, because then you connect to the moments. I mean, when I'm talking to a client, say for a wedding proposal, I speak a lot about joy. I want them to know that I'm going to capture your joy that day. And I refer to things like lighting, just because at the end of the day, it's just you're constantly going to be a student of the light. You're always going to need to upgrade your skills. The more you understand, the more you love it. I mean, I don't know, I don't even look at reflections in a puddle the same way anymore. So you can't unsee it once you've been shown the good light. Okay,
so do you think it's important for someone new coming into photography that customer service is one of the #1 things that you should focus on?
I think customer service is such a hard term, because it makes you feel as though you're just servicing the customer. A part of being passionate, at least in my opinion, a part of being passionate is integrating your passion with the service for your customer and making that person feel special. And the more you make them feel special, the more your joy is going to sort of build. And I think that you have to be, there's going to be a million of photographers. I mean, there's so much competition out there. And there's so many great photographers that didn't even go to school for it. what I bring to the table is that I tell my customers, I'm going to work harder for you. I'm going to, I'm going to do more behind the scenes things, prepping. And at the end of the day, I feel like every part of the process, from the moment that I send you your first email to the minute that I deliver, everything, it's all about making you feel important.
Right.
And I feel like that's sort of a thing that people need to do. Everybody, I mean, it's 2018, right?
Yeah.
You want to feel important in some way. That might be the only thing that you're bringing extra in terms of your competition, right?
Right. So do you think, or do you find it's harder to find clients being in the Niagara region, not like a big city?
Not at all. I mean, it definitely depends on what you want to do. I mean, if you're looking to do some crazy Hollywood type stuff,
Right.
or, Los Angeles type things, you have to go to where those clients are. But the thing that's nice with Niagara 2018 is we have everything. Like literally we have food, we have great restaurants, we have hospitality, hotels, architecture. There's so much real estate happening right now. And there's all these like craft breweries, wineries. I mean, gosh, the list goes on. And there's so many professionals. There's so many families. If you're not finding work in Niagara, it's because you're not marketing well. It's not because of Niagara itself.
Yeah. So you took our camera crew through your studio and showed us kind of your process. So we're actually going to take a look at that right now.
Okay, cool. Right now, it's women that are pregnant. I love, 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 love the pregnant form. I feel like they look beautiful. Their body is just fantastic. That's my thing right now. You really have to really go above and beyond to sort of separate yourself from your competitors, because it's easy to sort of sit behind a computer and just send an email off or send a text or a quick call. I do think you have to be a student of photography. That's something that our teachers always push. You can go to school, but if you never pick up your camera afterwards and you're not constantly shooting, you're only going to be as good. If you're not getting clients in and putting yourself out there, you're never going to learn to be comfortable. You're never going to be good at giving direction. The word of mouth, I feel like for myself, has spread because they're saying, you know what, she didn't just take 10 photos, she didn't just take 20 minutes. I was there for an hour, or I was there for an hour and a half. When I thought I was done, she came up with another idea. And I mean, I'll shoot until I'm happy. And I know that you'll be happy.
So we thank you for taking us through and like letting us see how, you make things work. You brought in a couple pictures for us today, and we're actually going to take a look at some of those now. The first one, I mean, white is something that popped out.
Yeah, that was the whole concept for this. Is I don't do a lot of high key, which is like the all white. I usually do a lot more with shadows, which we consider low key.
Right.
With that, everything in that photo is fake. The hat she's wearing isn't really a hat. It's like literally foam board.
Yeah.
I just like hot glued the fabric. I think I burnt my finger a million times. Her dress is actually blue, and I just bought a white fabric, and again, I just hot glued it on. And my model she completely understood what the concept was. We talked for about 10 minutes ahead of time. So she understood like really what I was going for it. And it's more, in my mind, it's more of, it was supposed to be like a girl at the races.
Okay.
With that snotty sort of feel.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well, definitely looking at that, I could never tell that wasn't a real hat or anything, and that's awesome. So the second picture that you brought in, obviously eye-catching right away. No pun intended there with the one eye hanging out, but can you just explain the process here?
With this, I wanted something really styled, but I wanted texture. So I really played up with the feathers. Again, that completely, it's just some popsicle sticks, feathers glued to it, and her makeup. I mean, it took me a while to make sure that the pieces of jewelry were just right. I wanted it to be a photo that, 30, 40 years from now, she can pull out of her drawer and show her grandkids.
Right.
And they're going to be like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Yeah. Hopefully she still looks as good, but
yeah.
that was more what I was going for with it. I really wanted it to be that high-end fashion vibe.
Now, did she bring in the jewelry?
No, I bring in everything. Like when I'm working on a set, again, it comes down to that important is I want you to show up. I want you to be able to just be the model.
Okay.
Because there's so much work in that, creating the emotion I'm looking for, that we usually spread out a massive table. I have about 30, 40 different pieces. and we sort of just interchange just to make sure, because I can do as much as I want behind the scenes, but when you actually get on set, maybe it doesn't look right with your eyes. Maybe it doesn't look right with your hair. So I like options.
Okay. So I noticed looking at your pictures that they seem to tell a story, and that's kind of a major theme that I've saw. So is that like, does that just happen, or is that
no, I mean, for me, it's a part of my process where I usually get inspired by things, and then I sort of look at it when I'm creating something, because if I don't get the emotion, then I've lost the photo completely. Even if someone's eyes are closed, I still need the light to feel a certain way. I want to imply a thought that you're going to think. So, I mean, it's definitely, in my mind, I feel like every one of my photos, I know the person, and I've created almost like a persona that goes with it, and I've sort of fit my model into that. And you need that, because you're directing them the entire time.
So who, growing up or later in life, was like your biggest inspiration in photography?
I think a combination. I think in terms of photography, I'm like, literally, I have a love affair in my head with Irving Penn, like Vogue, fashion, 1960s.
Yeah.
But I would probably say my husband, just because he doesn't make me think that, you know, you have to just do something right now. It's like you can kind of dream a little bit bigger, think a little bit more outside the box. And I think that's something that's sort of been in our mentality of, like, with our kids, like, you can literally do anything. You can try anything. Try it. You actually might like it, and then you might really be good at it.
Right. So a good support system.
Oh my gosh, support system. It's like, it's either going to make or break your marriage. Like, definitely.
That's good to know.
Because we're hard to work with. Anyone in the arts, anyone doing something creative, I mean, anything where you're working long hours. I mean, there's days where, I mean, gosh, I'm not home the entire day.
Right.
And you need that person that's going to understand where you're coming from, that's going to hold down the fort, and is also going to sort of give you a kick in the butt when you start to feel sorry for yourself, because you have hours of editing.
So before we let you go today, can you give advice to young photographers that are trying to find their way?
Shoot everything. Like, literally take photos of everything. Have a portfolio for any job that you think you might want to do, because you never know when the opportunity is going to come up. You could get a call tomorrow asking you, do you do weddings? I want to see your photos.
Right.
Have photos, even if it's just couple photos. But you need to be shooting constantly, playing with the light.
It's kind of like that, I think it's Malcolm Gladwell book, your first 10,000 pictures are
your first 10,000 photos are definitely your worst. In between, you get lucky.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
So we thank you so much for coming today. We know, I'm sure you have a busy schedule. So we thank you.
Yeah, no, this was fun. Thanks for having me.
So thank you guys for watching another episode of Niagara Roots, and join us next time for another special guest. Thank you and good night.